I had a baby last year and I finally lost all of the baby weight. And I'm going to tell you how I did it and all of the changes my body went through postpartum. Yeah. See, this is true. I lost all the baby weight. I guess I want to say finally, but finally I did. I think right around the time my baby was about 16 months, so 16 months postpartum. Finally, the number on the scale is the same number as from right around the time that I found out I was pregnant. So that's officially it. So I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the different body changes postpartum, because even though the number on the scale is the same, technically, my body looks very different, and I feel like that's a nice conversation to have, especially for any new moms that are having any sort of expectations for their postpartum life. Show you my experience and what happened to me. I will be describing a lot of things. Hopefully I won't go into too detail that's like really uncomfortable, but just like a warning, I will be talking about body parts and, you know, mine specifically. But I'll keep it cool, keep it comfy, just like, yeah, just a warning. I will be talking about that. I want to like talk like head to toe all the different changes my body went through postpartum. I think just so you get the basis, I was like a normal body weight pre-baby, like a normal like mid-range BMI, I guess, if you want it. Do people still use BMI? I have no idea. For my height, like I am 5'2", and I did go full term with my baby. I finally went to labor at 31 weeks. Quite literally, I gave birth the day before I was supposed to be induced, because you know they want you to have your baby before you're 42 weeks along. So at 41 weeks I had my baby girl, so I did go over the time, like the normal, I don't know what is normal anyway, of normal labor. So I think I did end up, I think I looked at the numbers, I think I gained around 36 pounds, which I think for a normal BMI, they want you to gain like 35 pounds. So I did, you know, technically go a pound over, I think, what was recommended, but also I had a longer labor. So I feel like that's justified. My OB, my doctor, was not super concerned about it. I mean, especially because I went over the time. Just so you get a basis, that's what happened to me. But yeah, let's talk body, and then we could talk weight loss. Top down, just to like make it nice and easier. My hair postpartum. One big postpartum change was that like what felt like a huge amount of hair loss. I hope I can still find the clip of when I was like pulling back my hairline, and there was just like huge chunks of hair missing at my hairline. And so I was so glad that I trimmed bangs during my pregnancy so that I can like cover it up a bit. But when I put my hair up in a ponytail, you could definitely tell that my hairline was a lot, like so much was gone. Just like I could just feel it when I took a shower, brushed my hair, just so much hair was falling out. I think the peak was about, I think 3 or 4 months postpartum. I just feel it coming out, and then eventually it kind of stopped. And so it's been well over a year now. I feel like a lot of my hair is regrown. Oh shoot, let's see. I think I could probably pick apart, you could see like, especially at the edge right here, I think all of this, as you see, let me pull the rest of my hair back so you can see, like this part is new growth. So I think this was completely new from last year, this little side burny bit. Yeah, because both sides of my hair have like similar little things that are like, yeah, see it like that, like little growth like that. So I think that's from the new growth from when I did all the hair loss. This is my natural hair now. I like before my pregnancy, during my pregnancy, I had like bleached hair at the ends, and so postpartum it was finally long enough that I trimmed it. So all this is my natural hair, no color or bleach or anything in it. And a lot of the new growth that happened up in my hairline, so many grays popped up, like gray, we're talking like gray hair, white hair. And I am 26 years old. I had to think about it for a sec to see that. About to be 27, and yeah, so this is all the grays that I have now. I got all the spotlights on me, so I hope you can see that. Yeah, over at the hairline-y bits, all the gray hairs, which is not very fun, but it's just very interesting that it is all in the same spot. So yeah, that's how my hair's changed. But now here we are a year later from all that hair loss, and my hair looks more or less pretty normal. So yeah. As for my face, you know, my head, my face, of course, with all that weight loss, my face has definitely slimmed down a bit. I was looking back at old videos from when I was pregnant, and oh my gosh, my face was just so puffy. I mean, I feel like I knew it at the time, but of course, you know, I was like so pregnant, and you got all that extra blood in you and stuff that your face does like bloat up. Now my face is back to a more slimmed position. I think if you were to look back at videos, like I did a couple of videos before I got pregnant, I feel like I have a very similar face shape to that because I weigh about the same now. Oh, and then as for skin, I think I did talk about it during my pregnancy, but I had no acne throughout the whole pregnancy, which felt amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't like treat my face or skin any different during my pregnancy other than like balms and stuff, but nothing on my face. And yeah, I went through the whole pregnancy, no acne, and now that I'm back to having, you know, a period, a cycle after pregnancy, yeah, I do get the occasional pimple that pops up, you know, hormonally around like my chin, like mouth area. I just get the occasional pimple every now and then, even though I'm 26 years old. This still happens. Oh, and for teeth, early on in my pregnancy, I think maybe like the end of the first trimester, maybe at the beginning of the second trimester, 3 of my cavity fillings fell out like within the same week, which was like, what? You know, they tell you that like during your pregnancy, like something about your bones and the calcium or something, that you can have teeth problems during your pregnancy. And that definitely happened to me because like, yeah, within the same time frame, like 3 cavity fillings just fell out, and I wasn't like eating any different or anything. I was barely eating at all because it was like I was so nauseous all the time that first trimester. So that did happen to me. Not like I think a year after that, I did get braces. I'm very close to having braces for a year now, these ones. So now I have braces. I don't think that really has anything to do with the pregnancy and stuff, but that's just what I ended up doing postpartum, and I think it was a really good decision. Okay, let's move downward and let's talk about breasts. I did breastfeed my baby for 12 months, and then quite literally on her birthday I stopped. So I did do that, and so yeah, breastfeeding can definitely change your breasts on top of, you know, what your boobs already went through postpartum or during pregnancy. I keep postpartum, so many P's. Yeah, but during my pregnancy, my breast did enlarge. You know, that happens. These things do happen. I feel like before I got pregnant, I feel like I had a little bit of a larger chest anyway, despite, you know, being only 5'2" and like a normal BMI. I feel like I had larger breasts, you know, at that time. So they got even bigger during pregnancy, which wasn't super fun because it felt like they were just like growing for a bit. I didn't even know what bra to get. Then I had the baby, and then I was breastfeeding, so then, you know, a whole different bra situation with breastfeeding and pumping and stuff. They did suit me well because I was able to breastfeed my baby for 12 months. Thank you guys. Thank you for your service. But yeah, now that I'm done breastfeeding, I think I will be done breastfeeding for about 6 months pretty soon, and they are very deflated. I was gonna say defeated. Yeah, they are a little defeated. They're a little deflated and saggy now. That's just what happens. If anything, I feel like I am a smaller bra size than I was pre-partum, like before I got pregnant. I'm not too sure if that's true. I might be the same size, and just because they are saggy, they feel smaller to me because they were so large for so long with the pregnancy and then the breastfeeding. I don't know what that's about. I should probably go get some new ones still and just figure that whole situation. They done me a good service, but they are very different now. Okay, moving downward, let's talk about ribs. So I think my ribs have widened postpartum. Well, because like I said, I am 5'2", so when I was pregnant, when I was like fully pregnant, like 3rd trimester, it felt like my baby girl she sat very high up on my belly. Like she really moved upward, and therefore I think my ribs might have widened. I mean, they say that's a thing. They say, you know, your ribs can widen, and I feel like they've stayed that way. That's just what I feel, because of how clothes fit on me now, that like it feels like my waist cannot get as small as it was before. I'm not too sure. I really didn't measure like my ribs before the baby. I mean, like that's not really like something that I would normally measure. I'm not too sure about that, but it's just like something that I feel, and that might happen to you, especially I feel like like if you're short, you might be more prone to it just because like there's really not much room for the baby to go. Like I think if you look at my like all the videos or stuff from when I was in the 3rd trimester, like she was right there. Like she was sitting so high up that like I would not be surprised if my ribs did whiten during the pregnancy. Okay, let's talk about my belly. That's where the baby grows, so of course she's gonna go through a lot of changes. So yeah, I have, you know, lost a bunch of fat, of course, but my belly does not look the same. Like skin, like let's talk about skin first. So I did get some stretch marks right around like I think 38 weeks. So, you know, 2 weeks before her due date, and then I ended up going over. So I think for about 3 weeks, you know, almost a month basically, I did get stretch marks at the, you know, the very base, like the very bottom of my belly. So maybe if I were to have had a C-section, which I did not, I had a vaginal delivery, they probably would have been right around there, or maybe like just above it where that surgical line would have been. That's just so you have an idea. Like, and my belly button looks like a little bit different, just like with the extra skin, it's like slightly saggier, but I feel like it's not like super apparent. But yeah, with the stretch marks, now that like I don't have as much fat in that area, like if I were to run my fingers across like the skin of my belly, like I can feel where the stretch mark is, and it's like kind of flabby in a way. Does any of this make sense? But that's just something I've noticed recently, because I think I've lost like a lot more weight, so like the skin can like really be stretchy down there. I feel like I bloat different as well, like when my period does come, you know, Mother Nature every month. I feel like I bloat more than I did before. I like to think just because, you know, like my uterus went through all the like stretching and growing and shrinking. When it wants to bloat, it's like it's kind of like a rubber band, you know. It's like it went fully outstretched, and then it kind of shrunk back in, so when it does get any sort of give, it has more room to expand. So when I do bloat, my period's coming, you know, this week, then it's like, oh, you know, I get a little bit of a pooch down there. And that's just something I've noticed. It's just like a little bit more than before. Oh, and speaking of uterus, just speaking of uterus, with my period now, I think before I had Marceline, before, you know, I had my pregnancy, sometimes like my period cramps could be very painful, just especially when I was like a teenager. It's like maybe my hormones were all out of whack or something, I have no idea, but they were cramps were so painful, like tears, you know, just like painful tears ruined my entire day. I was just like, I couldn't do anything, sort of thing. And a couple years ago I did like lose some weight. Like I gained some weight around like college time, and when I lost the weight and I I did some exercise, I did notice like my cramps like died down. Like they were more doable, you know. I was like, okay, I can actually like live and have a life, you know, while I'm on my period. Like, this is great. So then I had Marceline, of course, and did have a period for 9-10 months, which was great. So I was a little afraid that coming back, you know, after having a baby, my period would be more painful, and that is not the case. It has been great, just fine. I really haven't had that much of a painful cramp. I think I could probably count on like one hand how many times I thought, oh, I might have to take like some pain reliever for this. Not been that bad. So I mean, that's a plus. I think because it's stretched and shrunk, it's like more relaxed now, so it's not as painful. But yeah, that was really good. Oh, and speaking of more lady parts, I did have a 2nd-degree tear when I was in labor with Marceline. I had this whole problem with my epidural. I did make a whole video about my birth story, so check that out if you're interested, because it was a crazy one where, yeah, there was something wrong with my epidural in the middle of my labor. My whole body went numb, and there was like even a point where I was losing feeling in my arms, which is crazy. Like, oh, you expect to maybe feel more numb and stuff in your legs because, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, be feeling cramps and stuff. But no, I couldn't feel my arms. Like, I could barely even lift them or close my fist. It was like a crazy time. So you would imagine I was very much numb for a good part of the labor. So I did do a tear, second degree tear, but don't worry, she's all healed up now, perfectly fine. I don't even really notice it at all. I think it was like slightly painful, I think for maybe a month or two, like maybe 2 months. Let's say 2 months postpartum, it was like painful, I think, because like that's like usually like the amount of healing time. But now, you know, she's like almost a year and a half old. I don't feel any difference. I haven't noticed much difference in my legs, but my feet, I'm pretty sure that my shoe size is like at least half a size bigger than it was before I had Marceline. Yeah, a lot of the shoes that I had before baby are really snug. Like I could probably put them on, but they're not very comfortable to wear. So I've had to buy a couple new shoes now that I am, you know, getting back into it. But I had heard that before, that like going up half a shoe size post baby is like a very common thing. Looking at my feet, they don't look any different, and I don't feel like I was like one of those women that like had really bloated feet. I did get a little scared by seeing some pictures of some moms with like very bloated feet and be like, whoa, but I don't think that really happened to me. I kind of bloated everywhere kind of evenly, I think, if you look back at photos and videos of me when I was pregnant. But yeah, that's just something that happened. So yes, I think that's all the different body changes that my body has went through postpartum. I feel really great. I'm much more confident with myself now, and I have a toddler. so it was a long process to get here. So how did I do it? Weight loss, the whole thing. Because like after giving birth, I think I lost like 10 pounds like immediately from, you know, the weight of the baby and like the fluid and like all of that. I did notice that, like, I did talk about this, I think, in my breastfeeding video, which I did a whole video about my breastfeeding journey because I breastfed my baby for 12 months. So I did talk a little bit about weight loss in that one, but I think I'll explain more stuff, you know, in the more weight lossy aspect. Yeah, when I was pregnant, you know, pregnancy hunger, there's like pregnancy hunger, and then there's breastfeeding hunger, and then there's, I guess, postpartum, like no baby whatsoever kind of hunger. It's like so different. Pregnancy hunger is like you're hungry all the time, and you could eat, you could snack at any point, and you could constantly be eating. Like that's like what the hunger felt like. And then when I was breastfeeding my baby, which I was very lucky in that I could breastfeed her. It was very easy to breastfeed her immediately, so I'm so lucky for that. So I dove right into breastfeeding, and then breastfeeding hunger feels like just like huge waves of hunger. Like after every time I breastfed her, I got, you know, very thirsty and very hungry quickly, you know, like, oh my gosh, kind of like you did a workout, you know, like that's kind of what breastfeeding is. It's kind of like doing a workout, having your body make, you know, breast milk for your baby. And then after I stopped breastfeeding my baby, after 12 months, you know, that hunger like died down to like back when, you know, before I had a baby. It was just very different. I did start to try to lose the weight. I think about, so it was, I wanted a change around, it was June, so I think that's maybe 7 or 8 months postpartum for my baby. Like right around June, I was like, okay, I kind of was just like expecting to lose weight by not actually doing too much, and then maybe later after breastfeeding or something, if I wanted to like actually diet and stuff, I would do it. But around June, I was like, I'm not really happy with where I am right now. Like I don't feel very good confidence wise, so I wanted to do a change. And so like July, which was like 8 months postpartum, I want to say, I decided I was going to diet, you know, I hate, diet sounds bad. Like I was gonna count calories just to not like overeat and stuff and not go crazy, and just like kind of figure out how many calories I was like eating, and kind of like just like watching that in general. I do know when you do breastfeed, you should not like eat in a huge like caloric deficit because you have to like make milk and stuff. But at this point, at, you know, 8-9 months postpartum, Marceline is not getting, like, she's starting to be introduced to food, and we already given her formula and stuff. So me breastfeeding was like wasn't a huge priority at like 8-9 months postpartum. So I was like, okay, I think I can start dieting and stuff. And so I did, and it was very difficult while I was breastfeeding, just because, like I said, that breastfeeding hunger is no joke. It was very tough. So it really wasn't until 12 months postpartum, Marceline turned 1, and I stopped breastfeeding, that it was, easier to diet and to lose the weight, the baby weight, because I was not like super hungry all the time anymore, or you know, those like little waves throughout the day of like hunger. So gradually I've been losing the weight since then. I think around the holidays, I think my weight kind of stagnated a little bit, because you know, it's the holidays, you know, it's just like you're gonna eat a little more, you're gonna, you know, drink some fun drinks. So that's what happened. So, and then at, I think about March, so was that 16 months postpartum, I think I officially hit, you know, the same weight that I was before the baby. So that was great. And I think that's when I mentioned it in one of these vlogs. So I did it. I am pretty proud of myself. I feel really great about myself right now. And then how I did it was just counting calories. Especially after I stopped breastfeeding, I did make a real effort to like move around a lot more. Oh, now I have a toddler, so I'm basically chasing after her all the time anyway, but you know, just like walking, make sure to get those steps in, on top of like, I mean, the whole thing is like caloric deficit, counting calories. That's the whole secret to dieting. But I don't go to a gym, I don't do a lot of cardio, weightlifting. I just like, I love walking. I love walking a whole bunch. Like, oh, I wish I had a treadmill. I love it. And the weather's been really nice too, so getting out and about is like a really great idea as well. I think pretty soon it's gonna be terrible here in Arizona. Yeah, I was taking advantage of it as much as I could. If you guys are really interested in more weight loss talk, I can do a whole video about like tips and stuff about, you know, how to lose weight maybe, because I did have like, I was like a little overweight I think all the way back in like 2019, and then I dieted during the pandemic and I basically lost all that weight for my wedding. So I do have some experience with like dieting, getting from an overweight BMI to like a normal BMI. That way I can have a whole video, like maybe we could talk more numbers and maybe more calories and stuff. Well, this one I really just wanted to talk about like the postpartum like kind of thing, and like all the different body parts that change postpartum. And then yeah, so like here I am all these months later, and I feel great and it's awesome. But yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about today. If you want more videos like this, please give this a like, so I know you want more chatty sit down videos, or if you want like a dedicated weight loss and maybe like advice sort of situation, even more detail than I went in today, please let me know. And of course, subscribe for more motherhood content and maybe more advice content. I do share my life with my wonderful baby girl Marceline, and yeah, I think that's it. So I hope you enjoy. See you next time.